Today is March 7th, 2025, and the last time I made a video like this was over a month ago. And the reason why is basically family emergency, and it's been very intense. And without going into it right now, I'm taking some time to get back to some of the things I was doing before, including sometimes making these screen recording videos, just showing the process of working, thinking, writing, whatever. And something that I was thinking of working on today or talking about is this next topic that I want to explore, which is cognitive biases. And what happened so far is I've written out a post that is an intro that needs some work, so edit out repetition. And then I have another post, which is the first part of some of the stuff that I wrote a long time ago, a few years ago. So the part that I'm wondering about is that this article that I wrote that is like an introduction to the reason behind writing about cognitive biases and bipolar, I'm not actually sure if that really introduces the topic based on what I wrote years ago, and I'm not sure how I'll edit it or adjust it. So I just wanted to look at it and talk it out a little bit with myself, because sometimes that helps. Something I was doing, so this is the old writing, and I basically went through the codex of cognitive biases. I don't know if you say cognitive biases or biases. I guess they're cognitive biases. Anyways, doesn't matter that much. So I'm going through and sort of separating each bias, because I went through and talked about each one on its own and kind of related it to mania. See, I used to put commas on the outside of the brackets, and then I decided I didn't like it. And so this shows how old this is. And so I was also wanting to maybe separate it by a space, because I was writing this out like it might be a book, but now it looks like it'll just be articles. And one of the reasons why I'm writing these articles with all this content is to train an AI or train a chatbot. Basically, I wrote an article, or I talked about reading an article where someone was offered like 20 grand for the AI version of themselves. And so, when you think of your own work and what you've been working on in your own spare time, or maybe as part of your work that you get paid for as maybe a freelancer or whatever it is, like how much is that worth to put into a chatbot of some sort? And I don't know what mine's worth, but I've been working on this part-time for 10 years. So if you just put that as part of the value, like hourly part-time hours for 10 years, like that could be part of it. But then it's probably more cumulative than that. So when I was thinking, because I have a lot of writing that is not that well put together yet, it's just like notes and bits and pieces. That is what I put here. Some of it is other people's content that I made notes on that, I would write properly. So even if I were to train an AI, I would want to get out other people's content unless it was in the context of what was really going on here, not just like putting it in like they were my thoughts. So that's part of it. And what happened was I asked AI about training it as a chatbot, and it basically said, like, the steps are to write things in a coherent way first. So my thought of the strategy of just sort of putting everything in, like all these notes and stuff, didn't really seem like it was going to be a good idea. So then that gave me the idea to work on a lot of the content that was written out, and that with a bit of work, it would be publishable. Or, I could have just not published it at all and just left it for the AI, but I felt like, why not just put it out there? And to go with this, like, I'm fully aware that my writing isn't the greatest, and I don't think I'm a writer. I think I am an inciter and extrapolator and builder of context, but I'm not necessarily the best at making it into a well-written piece. And now maybe that's something the AI would do when I put my writing in it or something. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm not even going to do that. But like, with the amount of stuff that I have written and the fact that it's not that well written, that almost makes me feel like a lot of it is content for AI, because AI doesn't care if it's well written. Like, if it's generally written out, it can make it better, right? It'd be similar if each time I wrote an article, I was like, AI, can you make this more punchy? That's a word I've learned from a course I'm taking, to have punchy writing and very concise. I don't write like that. My brain doesn't work like that. And the course I'm taking requires that sort of paring everything down to a very concise thing. And I was able to do it for the recent assignment. I did not use AI. I used it a little bit for something, but not to write anything. It was because I didn't know the definition of certain terms or whatever. I used it for that sort of thing, but I didn't use it to write anything. And so for that reason, I'm not really using it even to edit my writing, because then it's kind of changing it. Whereas the purpose of the writing is perhaps to use it to train basically my AI likeness, right? I'm trying to catch up on writing out the stuff I've already written years ago, to the point where I feel, well, like, okay, it's captured my AI likeness. And I have quite a few pieces here, or bits of the puzzle, on cognitive biases. And then there's the topic of language and memes and memetics, which I've talked about a little bit on Substack already. And then these topics here, this guidance and what I call epigesturetics. These are sort of like my topics, which relate to other things too. Like, other people have said likely similar things. So getting to the point of writing out all of these, to me, is writing out a lot of the topics that I'm interested in. And then for these random bits, I was thinking that these could actually be be in conversation with my chatbot. I don't know, AI likeness, right? So I can basically start talking to myself at a certain point. And I already did some of that. And that's why I have this document here, which is all these dialogues that I had with ChatGPT quite a long time ago now. And this was in the day, this was probably a year ago, I'm guessing. I wonder if I have the date. This was probably a year ago. I'd have to look for the date created. And the thing is, now ChatGPT is a bit more engaging, where it will generally write shorter things and then ask a question. So here it wouldn't ask a question after, and I would just ask another question. So I was thinking of doing this dialogue again, but going with what it's asking as well as asking the questions that I asked along the way, and it'll give shorter answers. And I do realize I could have told ChatGPT back then, answer shorter, or, don't give all these bullet points or whatever, but I kind of wanted it to just say what it wanted to say, and I didn't edit anything out. So in a way that was good, because we probably can't even use ChatGPT like that anymore. Like, it won't even really do that. So this gives a lot to go on if I were to go through it for helpful points. But the way I engage with ChatGPT, when I do, which is not very often, like, I don't have the paid version anymore. I did for a while because I made my own chatbot, and that's what was answering. I think it would actually be a lot better now, because this was in the time where after you closed the chat, or after you ran out of, after it wouldn't talk to you anymore, I guess because some of it was when I had the paid version, then it would forget everything. So now it remembers not only in that chat, but sort of across the whole ChatGPT. I don't know if that's only for the paid. So I might, to do this experiment again, I might want to just upgrade to paid, especially because otherwise I won't get very many prompts before it will tell me that I can't use it until tomorrow at whatever. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see how it engages differently, because I think some of the questions and the topics that I explored, I found very fascinating in what it answered even back then. And what I was going to say is that the way I use it is to see if it responds in a way that makes sense to me, which, you could say, well, yeah, of course, but I'm asking about kind of like strange topics and things related to mania and bipolar and superpowers and this sort of topic that I unfold a lot, and it is getting what I'm saying. And why that's important is because, if I were to talk to somebody and say I have bipolar disorder and I want to talk about all my human potential, say like a clinician, they would just not even know where to go with that. They might have some general knowledge about human potential and growth and all that related to humans in general, but I don't think that that's part of the training, that there are trade-offs and there are different potentials that come out of that type of transformation. Even some of them are iterative, whereas like sometimes I have access to being able to write and talk, and other times I have flat affect or depression, and I can't even think straight. So what I'm saying is the ChatGPT, I was like, this thing gets it. This thing gets me. And especially as I talk with it, it's going to get me even more. And that's why I've been doing some writing, though not very much for the last month, of course. And the writing is really to catch up on getting some of my thoughts in order, especially the ones that there's more context unfolded around it, and then go from there to the point where like I'd have a chat about this to ask these questions again that I asked before. And then I'd also start to chat with it to unfold some of these random bits. And then also eventually going back to talking with it verbally, like just talking with that chatbot. And maybe that would be once I have it trained as a chatbot with my AI likeness. So that's sort of the progression there. Now, had I had all this written up a long time ago, I could already do that. And like I said, I did already train a chatbot, like a custom ChatGPT, as it's called. It's very easy. But I guess it's not that easy when if you don't have your own content. And that's why for me, it's been very important to honor and capture my thoughts and insights over the years, because now all of a sudden I have this content to train a chatbot with. And one of the main reasons for doing that is there's just too much to ever catch up on. Like I have these documents here, and I have like way more. I've written notes, I have so much, right? So at some point, just being able to maybe have a conversation, and then as that conversation goes, it's like training the chat bot further, or training my AI likeness further, then that's a good thing, right? Like basically training something to talk with me about what I want to talk about. And it's scary in a way, in quotes, scary, quote unquote, because I really do think that this will become very much the thing that people engage with the most, this talking to the AI. Because I can't remember what it was that I saw the other day, but it was about somebody addicted to something. I can't remember what it was, but when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, like if that's true, then people are going to be addicted to the AI for sure. I can't remember what it was, which is not very helpful. So, like imagine being able to train the AI to talk to you about what you want versus just like the generic one, right? So, and I do think there could be at some point AI likeness, not wars, but, you know, competition where people are going to want to talk with certain ones versus the others. So whatever, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is I'm not even really thinking about the AI thing with this. I'm just sort of going into that because it's partly giving myself an excuse to be not a great writer. I don't think I want to develop that. So I could try to develop into the best writer, like all these, the best writer I can be with all these posts I've written recently. I could try, right? And like using my own brain, not the AI. Or I could use the AI to make it the best ever, which I don't want to do. Again, because it's not going to be capturing sort of my voice, which isn't a great writing voice, but it's fine as a voice to capture my voice for AI or for some people who read it. And so I could do that, or with the pathway I just described of sort of writing some of these posts and then talking eventually with a paid version and maybe uploading these posts as a document for in the training for the custom GPT, and then starting to chat with it with some of these insights. And then after that, starting to talk with it. So getting good at being in conversation with the AI likeness that is myself. So, they talk about get good at talking to yourself, like your internal monologue or dialogue that's in your head, right? Now, the next thing is really to get good at an external dialogue with yourself based on your AI likeness. So instead of thinking, well, I got to become a really great writer, like I'm subscribed to a few people who are beautiful writers. I'm like, wow, oh my gosh, amazing. And I'm like, I can't get there. I won't, and I'm not going to try. So another type of writing is just writing to start to build your AI likeness and then sharing it or not, but just writing to get that into some kind of document where then you can train a custom AI if you want. It's like just like putting a journal into, it's different than journaling, but it's sort of like journaling or writing in order to make yourself immortal, probably. Not really you, but your voice. Like they talk about leaving a legacy. What if you can leave a legacy in your AI likeness? I don't know why I keep talking about this, but just to say, like, some people don't write because they think they're not a good writer, but you don't have to be a good writer. You can write and then have AI make it good, or you can write and just write as you, not make it AI make it good, and then that is helping to train the AI to be you, which, you know, we don't, when we think of ourselves, we don't go out and talk to people like we would write, right? So when you write, you're kind of writing not only how you would talk to people, but just you don't need to worry about having it so beautifully expressed. It's just getting the ideas together in some kind of coherent way. So then the AI can understand your thought process. Then you could say, hey, can you write an article on this topic from my thoughts, but instead of making it like the way I write, can you write it like with interesting words and stuff? Something like that. So I'm just saying I'm doing the part that is going to build the context of my AI, and then going from there. And I could be using it all along, but it's really information overload. Information overload. So this other thing, speaking of information overload, one of these videos, no, not one of these videos. There was a video I watched on YouTube by the Essentia Foundation, and I started watching it and I immediately had an insight, and I was like, my mind expanded, and I was like, I can't watch this right now. Like, I'm going to have to take notes. I'm going to have to really understand and extrapolate to the context I'm building. And then, so I stopped watching it. And that's one of the reasons why the YouTube videos I am watching are, a lot of them aren't very informational or deep. What I want to say about this is that I'm actually quite addicted to YouTube right now. And it's not all just fascinating educational content. Some of it is. But then the stuff that really fascinates me, I'm shying away from, because it would just start to expand the information and go into things that I just can't really process right now. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm sort of addicted to YouTube and just some of the more frivolous or entertaining content, or just sort of the different things that I watch, like even say hockey highlights, which I'm enjoying. But I'm finding myself quite addicted to it. And I want to overcome that addiction. And, you know, part of it's been like the last month has been really hard, and I'm not doing much of this work. And so I'm just sort of watching some YouTube to fill my time when I have a bit of time, and just rest and relax and tune out and zone out. And I don't even really have the energy to, even if I have a bit of time, just get into this type of work that I do. So I don't know what's what right now, but as things start to settle down a bit, I'm trying to just be a bit more healthy, and I'll talk about that later. But I'll just talk about this couple YouTube videos here that I watched that are educational. So this one, The Strangest Idea in Science, Quantum Immortality. So this is an educational video, but the cool thing is that since I don't understand part of it, you know, it's not really too much. But the part that was interesting is quantum immortality is talking about how basically we are immortal because of each time there's an event that we could either die or not die, both happen. And then we don't remember the time we died, and then we live. Long story short, like I had a couple experiences like this where it felt like I died and there was like a split to a different reality. So what I like about that is when I find YouTube videos that explain my extraordinary experiences. So like if you've ever had an experience, and I've heard people, without asking them, I've heard 2 or 3 people within the last couple years say, I got killed. I died. And I was like, really? And then I kind of told them my stories. And so I think it's a pretty common occurrence. And why I want to bring this up too is, they talk about this as an idea in science, but in my mind, in my experience, it's not an idea in science. There's people experiencing this, and then, they go to the psych ward. But those individuals aren't asked to share their experience or give anecdotal evidence.